That way it's not on the yeah, better to have a little tail on there than have it over the live recording.
Well, a couple people noticed it. Some people is like, oh, well, it's live. It's live now.
Usually I can't take it out because it's usually in the middle of somebody talking or something. It's just like, oh.
Got to keep some.
All right, as soon as you hear that music, here we go.
Okay.
Welcome to Making More Money for You with Magnus Carter. Whether you feel that you don't have enough money to start investing or are under the preconceived notion that investing is only for the wealthy, Magnus and his expert guests are here to help you. Now here is your host, Magnus Carter.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining the Making More Money for You show. I am your host, Magnus Carter. Today I have to apologize a little bit. My guest could not make it today, so it's going to be me, and I have a lot of topics to go over with you and some insights to actually how my insights can actually help you make more money for yourself. But before we get into that, I want to thank you all for tuning in the last couple of weeks. We covered a lot of different topics in such a short amount of time. And I've been getting a lot of great feedback from what we've talked about last week of actually having your house make money for you, especially those extra rooms that you have in your house that are sitting there doing nothing. Well, not really doing nothing, but actually taking up all your stuff that you don't use anymore and storing it for you. So when Cody Smith was on the air last week, he transformed his extra bedroom / storage area into a Airbnb room that's actually generating money for himself, help him pay off all of his bills, paid off his mortgage, and is allowing him to actually
Magnus.
Hello. And
can you hear me now? Hold on,
I can hear you now.
Let me change my Hold on 1 second. I don't know what's up with this.
Okay. While you're doing that, well, folks, this is live radio, as you can tell. If you haven't heard that voice before, let me introduce my guest to you. Hi, Matt. Hello, Matt.
Oh, I still don't hear you.
Oh, you might have to change your setting in your Zoom call. But my guest today is actually Adam Torres from Mission Matters and Money Matters. So we are going to have a very special show for you guys today. We're going to talk about Adam. We're going to talk about what he has done in the business world as an investor, as a publisher, as a marketing agent, and we're going to see how he helped transform lives and help his experience be brought down to all of us that are tuning into our audience right now, and making more money for you. And welcome to the show, Adam.
Magnus, so great to be on the show, and excited to talk and to you and your audience today. So thank you.
Awesome. We're definitely privileged to have you and your expertise here, because you have had multiple streams of income and multiple careers that have been successful, and each career is, transporting you and catapulting you to a bigger arena, if you will. And I can't wait to get to hear some of your backstory. We're going to talk about what we're working on now. We can actually give them a little surprise of what's actually coming up in the future, if you'd like to announce that. In the second half, because I am very fortunate to have you on the guest as one of the top rating podcasters and live personnel in the industry. And I appreciate you for that, for taking the time out of your day to come here.
Oh man, the honor is all mine, Magnus. I've been looking forward to this, and from one podcaster to another, love supporting the effort. So I'm in.
Okay. Well, we're a little bit bigger than podcasting right now. We're actually live on the radio. We're on Voice America. We're being streamed all over the world right now. So as you're podcasting, you do your live shows. We're doing our live shows on this platform now, but we will definitely get into your platform and how you built that from the ground up, and how you're actually changing lives of the people that you bring on your show and the people that are listening and partaking in it.
It's awesome. I'm in.
All right, let's go. Let's talk about a little bit of your earlier days. I seen, if you haven't or Googled or seen any of his podcasts or videos and whatnot, Adam actually started out as an investor.
Mm-hmm.
Can you give us a little bit of your insight on how you actually chose to become an investor and the people that you helped and some of the things that you did for your clients that are actually relevant today, especially in this day and age, because we all need to have more than one type of income coming in because jobs aren't just enough anymore.
Yeah. And so my investment background, I mean, I think it's somewhat unique. So at a very young age, I was always the entrepreneur kind. I was always starting some type of business or something. I mean, the earliest business I remember, I think I used to fold socks at home for 5 cents a pop. So I was getting a nickel of folded socks. So earliest business I remember, I was like 4. So I've been starting businesses since I could walk or since I could remember. And when I got to a certain age, so I was about 15 or 16, I asked my parents. My father was a small business owner, my mother a social worker, since retired. But I started to ask my parents more about money. And in my household growing up, money and kind of investment management, it's not something we really talked about. And one of the very fortunate things that my parents did for me is they didn't make anything up. So that might sound odd, but they kind of knew what they didn't know. Okay. And they were okay with telling me, hey, we haven't been the best with money or investment or management. So in order to learn about those concepts, maybe we'll introduce other, of our friends and mentors into your life that are a little bit further along and know more about it. So from that standpoint, again, big shout out to mom. Thank you for doing that. And dad, right? Because not a lot of times maybe we pass down information, at least when I was an advisor, and we'll talk about that more. But from one generation to another, that may not always be right. Well-meaning individuals can give some bad advice and pass on some maybe not the best financial habits. So my first position at a brokerage firm was at Raymond James and Associates. I started there when I was 16 in their IRA department. Now, obviously at 16, I wasn't a licensed individual, but I started there, and really that was my start into being in that world of brokerage and that world of investments. And this would be back in 1998, off the top of my head, 1998. So that's kind of where it all began for me.
Oh, that's awesome. I know in a couple of one of my previous shows, we talked about, my guest and myself, we talked about how board games actually influenced us with doing that, because the way we played with money on board games, we brought to our real lives, and our parents taught us that. They were part of it. You were, folding socks for nickels. So, your nickels became dimes, they became quarters, and you started investing from there. So, you took the knowledge that they didn't have and you sought it after yourself, which is phenomenal, because not a lot of people do that. They'll just stick to what they don't know, and that's okay. It's whatever your comfort zone is. But when you get outside your comfort zone, like you have, anything's possible. I got out of my comfort zone as well. And, as we know, as entrepreneurs now and publishers, and becoming more successful and seeing how you're actually helping people, that's a great reward for me. And what's your take on actually seeing people get what they need and get what they're actually paying for? Do you see that on your day-to-day basis as well?
Yeah, well, when I think about investing, I think one of the challenges is that, and I try to educate. I don't really manage money anymore, but when I did, one of my big things was educating consumers just to understand that the products that they're investing in are products, just like you're going to the grocery store. Okay. So these things like a mutual fund, that was invented by somebody. Mm-hmm. You think about like the old stock drip plans, right? Getting somebody to reinvest those dividends and to buy more stock, like that was an invention somebody made. So you think about ETFs, exchange exchange traded funds. That's an invention. The underlying fees that are associated with certain investments, those are all invented. Those are all made up. So the first thing that I say is that, when you go to the grocery store, when you go anywhere else, like sometimes if you're going to one grocery store versus another, maybe you're doing some comparison shopping, or you're looking at things. Now, it's not always going to be as simple as, okay, brown eggs cost this much at, this store, and brown eggs cost this much at another store, where you can make it that easy assessment, because who knows, maybe the eggs are different. Maybe these ones are free range. Maybe these ones that have some other characteristic that make them cost a little bit more and add a little bit more value. So I know that's a simple example, but if you translate that going back into investments, maybe one particular type of mutual fund, which, just to sum that up, what is it? It's a basket with different eggs maybe put in it, or different investments. So the same thing. So if you're thinking about where you're getting your value from, it's not all just about cost. So I'm not saying that you have to buy the cheapest egg or the cheapest investment here, or I'm not saying that that's necessarily the best value. But what I am saying is that you want to make sure that when you're thinking about value and what you're paying for, that it's actually matching your needs. Like it's going to make you the breakfast or the scrambled egg omelet that you want, right? That's the whole point there. When you think about your diversifying a portfolio or otherwise, you want to make sure that you're getting what you're paying for.
Oh, exactly. That is definitely one of the things you definitely need to have, is a game plan. What is your outcome? And that determines how much you invest, the types of stocks in the mutual funds, like you said, because really all they are is just a bunch of stocks put together, so people don't have to sit there and pick and choose and worry about trading and whatnot. You get the three out of four stocks that are performing, you're making money, even though that one's losing money, and losing a lot of money, which happens these days. And it's still a gamble. It's not set in stone. It's not a guaranteed return, but you're a little bit safer with investing like that. And education is definitely one of the hardest parts for someone for someone to do, because you can talk all these big lingo terms and whatnot, and that's one of the reasons why this show is existing, because people don't understand that. And that's fine, because a lot of people, we're not taught to know this. We're not taught to use money the proper way. We're taught to use it and spend it or save it till our deathbed and pass it on so someone else can use it, while we save and skimp and pass it on, in other words, but work ourselves to death, literally. Am I right?
I mean, that's one path. And then there's
one.
those that maybe just take that extra time to educate themselves. So another thing that I'll give you one very straightforward strategy that I didn't invent this. I think I went to a seminar. This is years ago. This is like back in the day when Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki, real estate, like when that first, well, I shouldn't say when it first, because I'm not that old, but it was,
Nor am I.
I was younger. Well, I don't remember the publishing date. So I think that book is like really old. I think we were kids there, Magnus. But that being said, I remember going to my first seminar and learning this really simple strategy. And it was, and I did it. So what I did is, when I, after I graduated college, I bought a fourplex, little four unit apartment building. I lived in one unit. Why? Because I wasn't married, no kids, nothing like that. Just a, young guy out of college. I bought that property, and nothing fancy there. I mean, I just worked hard, saved money from working, and then invested it in buying that property. I lived in one unit. I rented out the other three. So kind of going back in time here, but on a good month, I lived for free and I made $500. So it was like, then what happened there? These little small decisions tend to compound over time. So that extra $500, a month, another $6,000, or let's just say 5,000. Maybe I had some other maintenance or something, but an extra 5,000 or 4,000 a year of positive cash flow. But then you also had the big benefit of this: I didn't have to pay rent. that was awesome to have the other tenants that were in that building pay my rent. Like, that was amazing. That was the best thing I ever discovered. And funny story, true story, Magnus, when I did move and I sold that and I moved into a place out in California, I was paying rent again. I almost forgot to pay my first month's rent because I even forgot what it felt like to pay rent. I'd been living in the other manner so long. So that's the only way. I just wanted to kind of juxtapose or compare. You are correct. A lot of people are doing exactly what you said in your explanation, but educate yourself and you'll find little alternatives like that. Like, you can do the same strategy I just said right now, depending on what market you're in and, the cycle that the real estate market's in whenever you happen to be listening to this.
Exactly. And our last week's show, we talked about if you don't own a complex like that, you rent out one of your rooms to Airbnb.
Oh, it's even better. Yeah.
Same thing. It's even better because you already own it. Everything's there. You can, spruce it up, get a little bit extra money, just put it out there, and you list it at the free advertising, and all you have to do is just sit there, greet the people, have them check in. Yeah. Be civil, have them check out. You're done.
Man. And these kids these days, Magnus, and then the side hustle, the Ubers, the Grubhub, all of that. Do you know how hard it used to be to make an extra couple of dollars on the weekend or something? You used to have to be employed and make a commitment to somebody on how many hours you'd work and all these other things. Now, if you want to save up for your first property, no excuse. Do a side hustle, save that money. Takes you 1 year, takes you 5 years. You save that money.
Oh, exactly. When we, growing up, we had the lemonade stands. We shoveled snow. We did, grass mowing, all that kind of stuff. Nowadays, all you need is a phone and an app,
man.
And it's like, okay, just go through your contacts. Oh, I can help this. And they're solving problems and making money solving someone else's problem.
Yeah, it's amazing. When I was in college, I remember, and I was talking to one of my frat brothers actually earlier today. He sent me a text, and he sends me his text, this big Brinks armored truck. And he reminded me of when I was in college. I mean, Friday through Sunday, I would put in 40 hours a week when I was in college, driving an armored vehicle. Why? Because, we made good money, but to pay for college as well, right? Nothing was free. But the thing was, that was a time commitment. That was an obligation to an employer. That was a set schedule. So I had to do that and my normal coursework, right? But now with the gig economy and side hustles, like, would I have done that again? Heck no. I would have had way more flexibility and probably made more money.
Exactly. I did that when I was in college. Before going and investing, I went for computer networking and whatnot. Yeah. So when I was on campus, nobody liked talking to the campus tech people. So everybody spread my name around. I was getting calls. I was doing this and whatnot. I ate for free. I had some of the best food ever because college kids didn't have money, but they can cook, or they can actually help me with homework and do other things. So just like that, I made a lot of friends, and I got my name out there, and then was able to actually start a computer business later because of those people. So there's a unlimited opportunity out there for that. And these are just a small portions of it. So let's fast forward a little bit. You're out of the investing firm now. So after investing, where did it take you next? What did you want to do next, I should say?
Well, first off, so I was in that field for almost 14 years, for context for everybody. And the reason I bring that up is because I went through a true apprenticeship, put in a lot of time. I built up a practice. I managed a little under 200, or responsible for the management of a little under 200 million before I exited that business for clients. And, so I worked really hard in that field, and my heart and big shout out to all the people in financial services that work hard day in and day out, creating financial plans and really putting their clients before them, because it's not an easy position. It's not an easy field. And there's a lot of responsibility that comes with planning the futures of individuals. So when I left the field, it wasn't actually something that I was even considering. The big transition happened when I was at this time point in my life where I was like, I'm gonna be a financial advisor next 30 years, 40 years and retire. Great practice, great individuals, great clientele, happy, comfy, no issues there. Practice was growing. And so I said, you know what, I might as well own this. So I decided to go independent. And when I went independent, there was a challenge / opportunity. The challenge was I no longer had a big banner for a brokerage firm that everybody knew above my head. And the opportunity was now I could actually do what I couldn't do in the past, which is tell my story. So meaning when you work for a big firm, which I'm not against, by the way, loved the last companies I worked for, Schwab, Vanguard, all the Raymond James, all the big companies I work for, they're amazing. They have amazing clients and amazing people working for them. But when I decided to go independent, I no longer had that safety net of that big name. So I said, okay, well, I know what I couldn't do when I was there. I couldn't write my book. I couldn't tell a story. So on some of the influence and the direction of my mentors, one namely Christopher Kai, who he is a world-renowned speaker, author, all that good stuff, still a good mentor and friend to this day. But he says, Adam, you got to get a book. You got to write a book. Like, don't fight me on this. You got to write a book. I'm like, I don't want to write a book. I don't have time to do that. I'm managing money. I'm working on this practice. I don't want to write a book. What is that going to do? He's like, Adam, you got to write a book. So I'm like, all right, you listen to mentors, you listen to people that maybe know a little bit more than you on certain topics. He certainly then and probably now still knows more on branding and marketing than myself. And that's his thing. So so I said, okay, I wrote the book. Now, the interesting thing about getting the book out there is just is overnight, and I don't know how to explain it. And I might sound very self-interested because I am a publisher now, and we'll get to that. But it didn't start that way. But literally overnight, I had a book out there, and all of a sudden, I go from paying to be on stage and paying for certain opportunities so I could sell my investments, right? And I can get new clients. I went from that to now people paying and booking me as a speaker. And I'm like, what? And it's exactly what Chris said would happen. And it's true. I mean, I've been on speaking tours as far away as China. And I'm not even claiming I'm a great speaker, for the record. Like, I'm okay. I'm good. Like, people like my story, whatever, but I'm not a great, put it that way. I'm not claiming that either, whatever. But anyway, so I got that first book out there, and then it just started to kind of take off. Not just book sales, that wasn't the big thing. It was speaking. It was just all these other inquiries on people asking me, hey, can you help me publish a book? Can you help me with this? And at first, I just told everybody no. I'm like, I can help manage your money because that's what I do. I'm a financial advisor, duh. But then it got to the point to where I'm like, I don't want to refuse these individuals. These are my future or potential at that time clients, right? Like, these are successful business people. So one thing led to another, and that marketing side, maybe I had a little bit of a knack for it. Maybe, there was a little bit of timing. Maybe there was a lot of things and ingredients that added up to a successful brand that made it, let's just say, worth my while to no longer pursue the financial advisor track and begrudgingly, and I say that with an emphasis, give up my licenses and my CFP and 6, 7, 63 AIMS, you name it. I probably had it at that time, and give up really an entire career and a healthy let's just say roadmap for a little bit of the unknown.
Yes, I can totally, completely agree with you on that, especially with mentors. Mentors, if you don't have one, it is not obligated. You don't have to have one, but it's nice to have one, or a friend or a support group that's, like-minded, if not a little bit more than what you are, so you can actually learn and grow with that. I completely agree with you on the publishing and the book aspect of things, because I too well, you took the educational way to get where you were with investing. I had mentors to teach me that already, just like yourself, certified in everything and anything out there, but actually took the time out of their schedules to teach me what I know. and give me the practice to what I know. And it's like you were saying before, there is no one path to success. And if someone does tell you that, they are completely mistaken and very I don't want to say narrow-minded, but limited. They're limiting themselves, and they're limiting you to believe that.
Yeah.
Because especially in marketing and the talking, especially the talking aspects, congratulations on being all over the world from a passion that a mentor's seen in you, and you decided to follow it. And that's actually in all of us to do that. Even if we are working still the 9 to 5s, or we're still trying to get through college, or we're deciding what we're going to do next. If we go by what's actually out there and see, hands down, there's no limits. The only limits that are being put on you is the ones you're placing on yourself. And you took those limits off you because you decided it's like, okay, I wrote a book, books are selling. Now you were actually thinking about limiting yourself by not publishing. But once you took those off, everything skyrocketed. You're out in outer space and you have a great brand behind you, the marketing aspect of it. And I'm doing the same thing here. One book can change a life, and it changes other people's lives.
Yeah.
So, I want to take definitely some time about that, because we understand that that aspect of things, and we're actually helping the people that have these issues or are afraid to ask these issues. So we have a couple minutes before our break. One thing I do want to ask you, Adam, out of all the places you've spoken, and topics that you've spoken, what is your number one topic that you love to talk about? And we will revisit this before we get back. Or actually when we get back from our break. But what is that one topic that you find yourself talking about constantly?
So one of my favorite speeches that I've ever done, and that I had the privilege of giving, was I went to Michigan State University, so MSU. I was able to speak at one of their graduations, and in giving and delivering that commencement, first off, to go back to your alma mater and be able to give a speech, I mean, it's an honor, and it was just amazing. But I'm one of those people that like to talk about motivational and entrepreneurship topics, but really just speaking to the new grads and talking about what's next in their life, and just maybe to share some of the things that I've been through and that I've learned. I mean, that's one of my favorite things to dive into.
Okay, that's wonderful, because a lot of people, especially the graduates, they don't know what's out there. They've been in school all their lives. So for you to actually take the time, taking the time to help these folks, help give examples and things that we've all made mistakes on, so they don't make the mistakes. That is phenomenal. And hopefully at least one person there took from what you said and is applying it. So with that being said, we've talked about, we're going to wrap up for a little bit. We're actually going to get ready to go on a break. So I have a special guest with me, Adam Torres from Mission Matters, Money Matters, and Marketing, here talking to me about his journey about investing, to becoming a publisher, to marketing, and to everything else he's been up to, and including a couple of special items that are coming up in the future, special projects. And we're bringing everything that we've learned together to you, to our listeners here. Thank you, Voice of America, for giving us this opportunity to bring all of this to our listeners. But we're going to take a break right now, and we're going to come back, and we're going to continue with the speeches and more interesting topics to come. So stay tuned.
All right, you're clear.
Cool. Thanks, Adam.
Yeah.
Me saying, I'm like, is he coming, not coming?
Oh, but no, yeah, all good. I didn't, all good. I was having a little bit of issue. I had to reset everything before, of course, the technical side of things get you.
All the time, every time. They'll be working fine for 3 months. The time you actually need it, that's when it stops.
Exactly. Did I leave you hanging for too long though? I think was I pretty on cue, or was I off like by
You're a couple minutes late, but
Yeah.
we adjusted, which is fine. This is live radio, so we're good.
Yeah.
I did want to bring up the project at the
Yeah,
end that we're working on.
Absolutely.
We'll definitely go over some more of that, and we can go into your marketing. I'm actually curious about your other volumes, that we can talk about some of your other volumes, some of your guests that you have written, some of your podcasts.
Sure.
Bring some interest, definitely some more aspects for the listeners, for for this show.
Yeah.
So anything's possible, just
I'm in.
little nuggets.
No, it's great. And you're a great host. Like, it's great, very welcoming, very engaging, like great questions. So no, great so far. Let's keep it going. I'm in.
All right. Thank you much. I really appreciate it. And I know how busy you are and everything around it.
No, great times. You got to make time for these things. It's fun. It's fun too, to connect and just, get to know people and create content.
Oh, excellent. Yeah, I agree. I completely agree. I've been in the Facebook group, trying to spend more time in there, connecting with those of previous projects, so I can, network and see how I can help them. And it's fun.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. There's a lot. I see some new posts in there. That guy that just
Money for
posted
you with Magnus Carter. If you have any questions for Magnus or his guest, join us on the show at 866-472-5789. That's 866-472-5789. Now back to the show. Here is Magnus Carter.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the show. In the first half of the show, I have Adam Torres here of the Mission Matters and Money Matters. Lovely media and publishing. Sorry, I had a little mental thing here. We've covered a lot of topics that were very key towards what we're trying to do here at making more money for you, is bring insight from other from guests, from other like-minded people, and help taking the limits off of your thinking and widen your horizon, that anything is possible here, and investing is not just for the wealthy. Adam, thank you for your the first half of the content. Welcome back to the show.
Oh man, great to be here, Magnus. Great show. And looking forward to diving into some more for you. So thank you.
Awesome. Welcome. Yes. I'm very happy. We have some special news coming up in a little bit, but we're talking about how Adam actually transformed from investing and helping people to becoming a public speaker, speaking at his alma mater in MSU, Michigan State University. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, great. I would just want to make sure I got the right one there. There's so many colleges with the same initials in different states, and I just want to make sure I got those right. And this half of the show, we're going to talk more about the publishing and some of the guests that Adam had on in his books, on his podcast, what he's learned throughout the years, some great takeaways that we can actually put in our everyday life. Adam, how long have you been in publishing?
So now I think we're going on 6 or 7 years for that very first book. So from that very first book onto, and maybe some of the listeners that are familiar with our series, it's called Mission Matters. And then we also do have a Money Matters series as well. But for those that maybe are not familiar with it, think of it like those old Chicken Soup for the Soul books, where you get together a group of authors. Like if you think about that original Chicken Soup for the Soul book with Deepak Chopra and Jack Canfield and all those greats. What was that, 25 years ago now, something like that. We have a similar series. But our series is focused on business leaders and on business topics like real estate, for example. We have a Woman in Business series. We have a business leader series, but that's more along the vein of what we published. And to date, we've published now going on a little over 250 authors. It's kind of crazy for me even to say that, Magnus. I'm like, how did that happen?
Wow, it's amazing what you can do with one book and one idea, how this actually transformed when you were, I can guarantee that you weren't thinking that it's going to explode like this, and you're not going to get the talent or the the experience or expertise in one book, let alone how many books are we on now? We're going in what, 7 now in the Mission
Yeah.
Matters
Yeah.
and or Money Matters series now, and you have
Yeah.
multiple books here, multiple series books. So that's just crazy in itself. How
Mhm.
does that make you feel, that knowing that one book catapulted into multiple income streams?
Yeah. Well, realistically, it all comes down to the authors. So that's what it all came down to. And what we found is in the marketplace, there was a big need and a big, I guess you'd say, unserved niche, which is, business leaders out there and professionals that have a great story to tell, but maybe they don't necessarily always have the time to sit down, write a complete book, or to get their story out there. So there's a lot of people that have that dream of writing a book and being published, but maybe it's out of reach. And it doesn't have to do with just budget. A lot of very successful people that can, pay for the ghostwriters, pay for any type of publishing package you could think of, but do they have the time? No. So that's where we kind of, it took 2.5 solid years of refining our processes, our publishing process, the storytelling format, all of the other things to bring out, really good books for our readers, that serve their need of learning, tips and things that are going to make them successful in life from first party sources. So meaning from the people that are trailblazing and are innovating in their industry. So that's the type of individuals we publish. And then for the people that are being published, the authors in this case, who are the trailblazers and the innovators and the business leaders, making sure that we're doing a great job in representing them and telling their stories. And of course, doing all the marketing and promotion that go behind that. Because for anybody out there that's published a book, thought about it, or is waiting to publish one, the marketing side of it, I'm like, hey, well, if you write a great book and nobody reads it, then you got an expensive paperweight on your hands. So you always want to keep in mind the marketing and publishing side of things so that people can, hear your story.
Oh, absolutely. Marketing is its own animal. Writing the book, considering marketing and writing a book, I would rather write a book any day of the week than try to promote and market a book towards the masses, if you will, because like you said, it's a specialty.
Mhm.
You got to have the right tools to do it. You need the right venues. You need to know what's actually out there and what people are actually looking for are some of the main things that marketing goes into. And they have all these charts and the demographics and all it's its own world. That's the worst, that's the best way I can explain it. And you've seen that, and I'm sure you have a great marketing team that is promoting this and a positive and real light, honestly, because when someone picks up a book that nobody knows about and it's not marketing right, you're taking a gamble on what this person's actually writing and experience. But your process over the years, from what you're saying, is you refined it and you're taking the best of the best that do this day in and day out, and they worked out their kinks, and you're bringing their knowledge to someone else that is having that issue or um, wants to actually go into that field. So my question to you on that is, how did you decide on how many authors go in one book? Because I'm sure you get flooded with uh, tons of topics, tons of authors,
Yeah.
experts in all different areas. How do you whittle that down per book?
It's challenging. It's challenging. It's very labor intensive. And I just have to give a lot of the credit to my team on that one, because it's conversation after conversation. So hundreds and hundreds of conversations over the course of many months go into selecting the authors and go into curating the content to put in the book. So there's no secret sauce to that other than you have to have a great team that's very willing and able to protect the brand and that have the audience's best interest, in this case, the readers. And one of the things that we like to focus on and talk about a lot, both internally and with our authors, is that idea of community. So what we really like to think about is, and so we're not an elitist organization. It's not saying you have to have just X amount of revenue or had X amount of business success in order to be published. That's not what we're looking for. We're looking for great stories. One of my favorite stories that I tell often is of a woman by the name of Elizabeth Yo, who she retired from the military. And when she left the military, she'd been in the military for a long time. She went in very young. And when she left the military, she found herself in a position to where she's in a grocery store in the cereal aisle. And she has a box of cereal in her hand and she froze. And the reason why she froze is she was left with indecision. She was frozen because she didn't know what cereal to pick out. Here, this grown woman who was, ranked in the military and had this, great career, and she's not used to having that much choice for her cereal. So it was just one of those stories that stick with me. I mean, we published her many books ago, but it was one of those things. And so she since took the book that we helped her create and all the other things, and a huge part of our community, and she leveraged that to then start her own entrepreneurial endeavors, where she's helping other veterans, I believe I'm saying it right, and individuals that are leaving the military and that are maybe having that same rough start that she had as an entrepreneur, and she's helping them get over that hurdle. Why? Because they speak the same language. They're the best individuals to help each other out and down that path, and because she's already been through it. So she went through it and she's been blessed now, and she's chosen to turn back around and be a blessing specifically to entrepreneurs, many of which share her same military background. So when you think about things like that, I want to be real clear. It's not, when we're curating for authors, it's for great stories. It's not just how much business success, or, I mean, some of my other favorite ones are people that actually failed in business and they share that. And they're like, man, this is the worst time of my life ever. This is how, this is why. Don't make the same mistakes I did. And here goes the game plan of what not to do. And I remember when I read that laid out right. And I'm like, you're going to share that? And the woman's name is Mindy. She runs an agency out of Miami, Mindy Figueroa. And I was like, yeah, you're going to share that, aren't you? She's like, yeah, I'm going to share it. It's the real, and that's what people need to know. And I'm like, God bless you on that one, Mindy, because that's the fact that you're willing to share, amazing part of our community.
Yes, that and what you are building is a community. A lot of people feel left out or feel that they are left alone, and they're not getting what they need because they don't know where to turn to. And I found throughout my years, and that's why I decided to write as well as also because when I was doing networking, traveling all over the US, I've have all this knowledge of, seeing people with money making bad choices with money and not knowing what to do with money or their finances in general. That's the reason why I decided to actually start writing a book, but I didn't know how to go about doing it. And well, my story about actually becoming a publisher is, definitely one that is not your typical story. I'll share that with you and with my listeners because this is fact, and I have told my coaches this because I did go into a program about writing and being a publisher. Is I came home one night after being out with my friends and celebrating heavily on the night out, and I seen a YouTube channel. I was on YouTube and this commercial came on. This commercial, talked about publishing, talked about how anybody can do publishing anywhere in the world and whatnot. And they made it seem that easy. And of course, me in my state of mind, actually, I thought, I'm like, I can do that. Got the credit card out, bought the course, woke up the next day, seen the bill. I'm like, well, I guess I'm doing it. And since then, I have been doing it. I have, the one book, it's all started with one book. One book became two books. Two books after promoting got me the TV appearances like you have, podcasting, speaking out to all over the world. I haven't been fortunate enough yet to go physically to do it, but doing it through Skypes and interviews and
Yeah.
whatnot. But it also gave me this opportunity as a radio channel host,
Mhm.
so I can bring my, like you were saying, my experience and my knowledge to everybody out there. So we've all, by being blessed, like you were saying, is
Yeah.
blessings come from anywhere and everywhere,
Hey,
especially
that's
when
a
you're not
great story.
looking.
Most people wake up the day after a heavy night of celebrating, we'll say, and they wake up with regrets. You woke up with a new business. That's awesome.
Yeah, that is exactly right. And since then I did the course. I
Mhm.
went through, they had an acceleration course. I took that, and it catapulted me. It got me to write the book. It got me to definitely getting out of my comfort zone. This is way out of my comfort zone of
Yeah.
actually hosting, because but it transitioned a little bit from being on all the radio shows, the TV appearances, all those appearances transitioned me to get this. So what comes after this, I don't know. And I really not thinking about it, because I'm enjoying this now, building a community with
Yeah.
my guests, like you, Adam, my previous guest, my guests to come. And it is definitely one of the best things, uh, best celebratory purchases I've ever bought. And
Yeah.
it changed my life and a lot of other people's lives, because I actually keep in touch with some of the people that my test group for reading the books. I wrote my books for 30 to 35-year-olds, but when I found out 18-year-olds and 65-year-olds were reading the book,
Wow.
it spans. It's not generational. It is every adult person out there that are
Wow, it's
having these
amazing.
issues. So, and to have you on the show, and we're actually, well, I'll let you break the news of what's actually coming next.
Oh yeah, so you heard it here first. So Magnus is going to be featured in one of our upcoming books. And Magnus, I just have to say, just hearing and learning more, and now working with you on this interview and otherwise, I'm just thrilled to have you in the book, man. To have you part of, and also part of just the overall Mission Matters community. Like, we spend a lot of time, like I said, curating authors and stories. So when somebody, once I get a name and we make a decision, we're usually right. There's a lot of people that go into this, so I'm really thrilled to have you part of the book.
I am blessed for being part of this. It was definitely not one of anything planned, but it happened,
Yeah,
and it fell into place with all my other work going on, with this going on. I'm glad to bring my expertise and my knowledge to your forum, as you're bringing to my listeners right now. And the sky's the limit with us.
yeah.
It all started from one idea of actually and taking notice to a lot of things out in the world. Uh, so I'm very thankful for that. But
Yeah.
Adam, where do you see your business going from here? You built a community, you have everybody actually, you have pretty much a family of people of your
Yeah.
community, if you will. And I'm very happy to be part of that community as well. But where do you see this going, and how do you see it? It has to evolve, because
Yeah.
everything in time now is evolving.
Yeah.
We're in very unprecedented times with the last couple years, and
Mhm.
definitely the future is uncertain. But where do you see yourself, the company,
Mhm.
your community going?
So the main one of the main themes that we talk about both internally and with our author network and with the overall Mission Matters community is really just thinking about different ways that we can add value to our niche, if you will. So who are our niche? Our niche: business owners, entrepreneurs, and executives. They come to us to hear content. They come to us to read content. They come to us for seminars. They come to us for, as a trusted source that stays ahead, we like to believe, of information and really what's going on in the business and money world. So what's next? I can see the community evolving into us doing maybe some more, something that we were doing or we were planning prior to the pandemic would be conferences, more in-person things. I can see maybe taking some of the shows that I host on the road and doing a tour there. There's a couple things in the works along those lines, maybe hit some major cities and meet some of our fans and otherwise in some of our markets that we do really well in. But really, all we're looking at is how do we support others? That's the goal. How do we support the community? How do we continue to do more book launches with our authors, both virtual and in person? That's another big thing that's on the agenda. But really, those are some of the actions that we're planning towards. But when you say, where do we see the business going? That's more along the lines of the vision part. So in terms of the vision part and creating a platform and providing a platform that others can learn and benefit from, a lot of what we're going to do has to do with executing on our overall mission, and which is to amplify the stories of business owners, entrepreneurs, and executives. We do that through publishing, through podcasting, and through obviously PR, marketing, and media. So those are our tools in our tool belt, if you will. So we're going to continue to execute on that and day in and day out deliver, in my opinion, great content that can be trusted and that people will come to us to excel in their lives, which is all about it. So the WIFM for our audience is that they get to learn from our amazing guests, just like I do. So we both learn together.
That's amazing. And I have always, especially in the computer world and publishing and anything that I do anymore, I feel my personal thoughts on this are, if I didn't learn anything today, I'm outdated and I'm not useful the next day.
That's the computer talking you right there. You're outdated, obsolete.
You're right, because as you're talking as the vision and whatnot, I'm living it. You live in the moment, but tomorrow is still coming. But what can I do today to make today better for a better tomorrow?
Got to click on the update button.
Well, sometimes I hit the reboot button by mistake. And
I'll take that too. Hey, we all need a reboot sometimes. I'm in.
Oh, I definitely agree. Well, the reboot, updates, everything. We're constantly improving ourselves.
Yeah.
And we have to have fun doing this. So my tip of the day is have fun.
Yeah.
Being too serious, especially in this day and age, investing money, bills, it will beat you down. Yeah. In many words. But if you can find one little thing, even if it's a cat video, if you find a cat video to make you smile for the day, it's not that bad. It's not as bad as it could be, and it does get better.
It's awesome.
If it's not today, it'll be tomorrow, or the next day, or the day after that. But as long as you keep that hope alive, anything is possible. Yeah. So, Adam, we are about almost out of time here. I can't believe that the hour flew by as fast as it did. Oh, yeah. We have had a fantastic conversation about how you went from investing to podcasting to launching a whole media platform in multiple media outlets, and bringing such wonderful content to your listeners, everyday people, and sharing the stories of your authors and your podcast guests. How can we get a hold of you? Or how can we learn more about you and Mission Matters and everything?
Yeah. So real simple, missionmatters.com. You'll connect to everything there. If you want to connect with us directly, there's a little box there to text. I mean, you can text, you can call, do what you got to do, but missionmatters.com. I mean, that's the portal. That's where you'll find, I like to think, more free content than most platforms out there. So we have over 5,000 episodes out there and a ton of articles, and it's all free. I mean, just go to missionmatters.com, all free, not behind a firewall. We're trying to do our best to create the most content possible that's quality and curated, so that we can all benefit.
Oh, that's wonderful. Knowledge is one of the keys to having a productive life, you know, and you're offering it to everybody out there. That is wonderful. I have actually been looking at it as well as since I've been actually before becoming part of the community, and I appreciate all your time here, your insight, your vision, especially for what you're doing with the platform and how we're actually going to take the knowledge that your experts and professionals offer and apply it to our own lives. I can't thank you enough for being here. But as for this week, that actually wraps up this week for everybody. Thank you for tuning in. For next week, we are going to actually keep going on this this wonderful train of knowledge and stops. The next stop we have is actually talking to a career service manager from Central Penn College, located in Somerdale, Pennsylvania. I am actually an alumni there. I graduated. He's helped me. We're going to talk about his story, and we're going to go and have a great week. And everybody, don't forget, find something to laugh about today. Something happy, something to make you smile, even if it's not laughing. Adam, we got to sign off. I thank you for your time, and I appreciate you being on the show, and I look forward to speaking with you from days to come.
Thank you so much for having me on, Magnus. It's been an absolute pleasure, and thank you for your audience for tuning in. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. And have a great day, everybody.
All right, you're clear.
Awesome.
Hey, Magnus, before you close out the conversation, just real quick, something with your microphone. If you're going to have it pushed down like that, you need to turn that microphone. Okay, because you kept dipping off. I don't know why I couldn't hear you.
It was weird because it was actually moving and I had it locked, which is
yeah. It might have just been the movement then on there. Okay, yeah. It's just every once in a while you were dipping down a little bit in volume. On the back of that microphone, is it set to the one that looks like a sideways heart? Be on the where your finger is.
This one. No, it's actually to a circle.
Okay, turn it to the one that's like a sideways heart, and then make sure that that light on the front of it and the blue icon is pointed straight towards your mouth.
Yep, that's right there.
There we go. There we go. Okay, I think that's all it was. I think it was just that polar pattern with it shaking was not quite picking you up.
Yeah, that's weird. Normally, well, gotta love technology.
Yeah, it's those things can be fickle.